Studies Section 4. Marxism. Introduction. Marxism is a system of economic, social, and political philosophy based on concepts that opinion social transformation in terms of economic factors. A central opinion is that the means of production is the economic base that affects or determines the political life. In this study session, you will learn about concept of dialectical and historical materialism of Marxism, superstructure in Marxism, socialism and communism political systems in Marxism, and basic principles of Marxism. Learning outcomes for study section 4. After you have studied this study session, you should be able to examine concept of dialectical materialism and historical materialism of Marxism, define the superstructure in Marxism, explain socialism and communism political systems in Marxism, discuss the basic principles of Marxism. Concept of dialectical and historical materialism of Marxism. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels were two lifelong friends who formulated the ideas known as Marxism. Though Marx would disclaim that he was a Marxist, nevertheless, Marxism became an ideology that was embraced by those who believed in the ideology of Marxism. Eastern European countries were until recently following Marxist ideology, and some other countries in the world like Cuba and China adopt Marxism as the state ideology. Marx and Engels were revolutionists and deposited a revolutionary idea which was against the capitalist system. Their idea is grounded in what is called dialectical materialism, historical materialism. Dialectical materialism is supposed to be the philosophical creed of Marxism, and what this means is that matter is the basic feature of reality. Dialectics. Dialectics is a process that occurs in reality. Dialectical process occurs when there is a change from one form to another form brought about by praxis, which is humankind's manipulation of nature. Marx and Engels got the concept of dialectics from Hegel. The concept of dialectics has three categories of features: thesis, antithesis, which is a negation of the thesis, and from this antithesis you have synthesis, which is a complex mixture of both thesis and antithesis. They believe that all these things were also manifested in the historical process, hence they call this historical materialism. They laid out the process which societies have gone through. They claim that all societies have gone through communal system, and from this emerged feudal system, and the capitalist system emerged from the feudal system. They claim that capitalist system would eventually evolve a communist system, which is the ultimate end of the process. To them, this process occurs in all societies because of the traditions in those societies. They claim that all societies have what they call base and superstructure. The base is made up of relations of production and forces of production. The base is essentially the economic foundation of the society, and the base, as earlier pointed out, consists of the means of production, which are simply the machinery with which economic activities could be carried out, while relations of production are mainly the class standing of the individuals in that economic activity. The concept of dialectics has dash and dash features: thesis, antithesis. The superstructure. The superstructure is simply the beliefs, ideology of that society. Marx and Engels claimed that in any epoch the ruling class controls both the economic base and, as such, the superstructure. Hence, the ruling class ideas to them are the ideas of the totality of the society. Marx and Engels claimed that historical evolution, as from communalism through feudalism to capitalism has always been driven by certain contradictions in the society, and these contradictions are brought about in the economic base. In each epoch, the ruling class becomes obsolete in terms of the economic activities, and as such, a class would arise with a much efficient economic activity or machinery. This could bring about class struggle between the old ruling class and the new emerging class. In most situations, the new class triumphs over the old ruling class. They argue that this has been the scenario in all societies, hence the phrase "the history of all societies has been the history of class struggle." They claimed that this scenario could happen in the capitalist society because the bourgeoisie class could be overthrown by the proletariat class, since there are certain contradictions within the capitalist system. They believe that once the capitalist system is overthrown, there will be socialist system. That's simply the beliefs, ideology of that society. Superstructure. Socialism and communism are political systems in Marxism. Socialism is superior to capitalism in the sense that it will be managed on another moral or ethical system. However, socialism will be a stopgap between capitalism and communism. It is meant as a system which will smash the remnants of capitalism in terms of the class stratification. After socialism, there will be communism. This is the ultimate end of all historical processes. In a communist state, there will be no state or government as you have it. What will be present is the organization of things. In this system, all the needs of the people will be catered for. In conclusion, Marxism, or the idea of Marx and Engels, are seen as being utopian by some social theorists, and as such as they criticize it on that ground. Basic principles of Marxism. Marxism is a viewpoint that comprises a number of differing sub-perspectives. That is, while there have a tendency to be a general arrangement about the need to construct a critique of capitalist society, there are key disagreements between writers working within this perception. Keeping this in mind, you can review some of the key Marxist concepts in the following terms. 1. Marxism highlights the impression that social life is based upon conflicts of interest. The most essential and important of these conflicts is that between the bourgeoisie, those who own and govern the means of production in society, and the proletariat, those who basically sell their labor power in the marketplace of capitalism. 2. Unlike the functionalist version of structuralist sociology, the idea of social class is more than a descriptive category. Social class is used to explain how and why societies change. Class conflict characterizes a process whereby alteration comes about through the opposition of social classes as they follow what they appreciate to be their different and opposed shared interest in society. 3. Marxism is a political theory whose main concern is twofold: to interpret the political and economic flaws essential in capitalism, to show the way near the founding of a future communist society. 4. Essentially, there are measured to be two great periods in capitalist society: the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Nevertheless, at any given moment, a number of class fractions will occur. For example, the bourgeoisie might be subdivided into 1. The ate, high bourgeoisie, owners of big establishments. 2. The petit, small bourgeoisie, owners of small industries. 3. The professions, people who, while not owners of the means of production, assist to regulate everyday running of businesses. 5. Marx categorized human history in relations of the way in which Ownership of the means of production was the most vital single variable involved in the classification of each separate period or epoch in history. He identified 5 major epochs: primitive communism, representative of early human history, where people had everything in mutual; the ancient epoch, slave society, societies based upon slavery, where the means of production was possessed and measured by an aristocratic elite; feudal society, where land was the most essential means of production. This was owned, organized by an aristocratic class. The most of people have its place to a peasant class who had few, if any, political rights. Capitalist society, where technological advancement, machinery, etc., has acceptable a bourgeois class to exploit factory kinds of production for their private gain. Communist society, where the method of production are held in common for the advantage of everyone in society. In this society, class conflict is lastly determined, and this indicates the end of history, since no extra form of society can ever advance. 6. Marxists divide capitalist society into 2 connected spheres of influence: the economic base or infrastructure, the political and ideological superstructure. 7. Marxists use the idea of hegemony to direct this relationship. According to a Marxist such as Althusser, there are 2 conducts in which a ruling class can unite its control over other classes: through the use of force, the police and military, for example. Althusser referred to these repressive state apparatuses, RSAs. Through the use of ideology, socialization, the mass media, social workers, teachers, and the like, a form of soft policing. Althusser named these ideological state apparatuses, ISAs. In capitalist society, hegemonic control will continually be a mixture of the above, but in capitalist democracies, the last will be most vital, since a ruling class search to control and exploit the proletarians by trying to influence them that this society is the best of all possible worlds. 8. Marxist theory high points the total evaluation of capitalist society. In order to understand the way things seem, you have to understand how social life is made through a combination of economic, political, and ideological conflicts. 9. Individuals are not the focal point of Marxist theories. Marxists are mainly concerned with understanding social structures. Individuals are only significant when they act together as a class. That is, when people develop a consciousness of themselves as belonging to a particular social class, a class in itself, and act upon that awareness to produce social change, a class for itself. 10. Most Marxists use the notion of wrong consciousness to explain how the proletariat is co-opted by a ruling class into the values of capitalist society. A member of the working class is incorrectly mindful of their true class position when they fail to understand themselves as a member of an exploited, oppressed class. Summary for Study Section 4. In this Study Section 4, you have learned that 1. Marxism is based on 2 concepts: dialectical materialism and historical materialism. Dialectical materialism is the philosophical pillar of Marxism, and historical materialism is the concept that explains the historical movement of societies. 2. There are also base and superstructure, and the base is economic activity in the society, while the superstructure is the belief system, ideology, etc. of society, and these are a reflection of the base, since the base controls the superstructure. The ruling class in any society controls the base, hence, that class controls the superstructure. 3. The historical trajectory of any society had been simply made possible by the contradictions in the base which occurred because of changes in the base, and this would bring about class conflict in the society. 4. The end result of that conflict would bring about a change of the ruling class in the society, and the society would move from one form of system to another system: feudal, capitalism, socialism, and lastly, communism. Marx and Engels believed that communism would be the ultimate end of the historical process. This is the end of Studies Section 4. Thanks for listening.